In this video, I want to talk to you about a very interesting variation on walking meditation. You can, in fact, even turn it into a game. This has some value if you want to work with children and walking meditation, which is a surprisingly good idea. We'll talk about that in a second. I've made several notes here that I want to make sure I don't forget to tell you everything that's on my mind about this, because there's so much of value in this way of doing walking meditation. Remember that there are a couple of principal reasons why someone with active trauma memory might want to do this. One is to simply get the basic focus shift effect. If you're having troubles with distressing memory and you don't want to have contact with that memory, understandably, you can solve that problem by shifting your attention to something else. The trouble is that's not easy to do much of the time. You can learn how to do it with practice. Walking meditation is a very good way of practicing. What I'm going to show you today is even better. It's a variation on basic walking meditation. When you do a focus shift, what happens, because the brain can only pay attention to so much, is you push aside the part of you that's aware of the painful memory, and it's replaced by something else. That means you stop reacting to the memory, and that's a highly desirable effect. It, in effect, turns it off, and all you've done is shift your attention to something else. Now, if you don't shift your attention all the way, that's still better than not doing anything at all. If you do shift your attention with energy and enthusiasm, even aggression, you'll get the complete effect, and memory will just stop and you'll forget about it for the moment and it'll be over. This is a very good way to manage stress that comes from this sort of source. The other reason to do any kind of exercise, including meditation, and particularly walking meditation, that involves focus shifting, is that you get a chance to practice strengthening your focus shifting skills. They do strengthen over time, and if you practice them, you'll find you're much better at it. They strengthen rather quickly. Practice is a virtue here. Okay, this walking meditation is called water walking. I've never seen it anywhere else. As far as I know, I've invented it. It's very simple. All you need is a couple of plastic cups, and I have two here. They can be any kind of water container at all, as long as the edge of the container causes the water to bead up on it. The water doesn't want to sit on it. You should fill one about, at least 3/4 full of water, within a ½ inch or so of the rim, and the other about half full. Now, as an alternative to this, you can certainly use an ordinary water glass. It works very well. It just needs to be clean. Anything that's run through a dishwasher or has been appropriately washed will work quite well, because the glass, like the edge of the plastic, will resist the water. And what we're going to do is fill up a container with water, and the water will get to the very top, and then it will start to bead out. You'll see in a minute. And then you're going to walk with this. And the idea is that if you do not pay attention, if you're not attentive to moving slowly and noticing what the water's telling you, you'll spill it. Now, this is hardly a big deal if you spill it. You want to do it on an area where you can towel it up when you're done, of course, because you're going to spill it. You will. Everyone does. But every time you spill some water, you stop and you refill the glass and you bring it back up to the top again so it beads. And so once again, you have this exquisite feedback about whether or not you're paying attention. There's no escape from it. If you make a mistake, if you let your mind wander, you're going to spill some water. It'll be immediately obvious. It's a fascinating exercise in feedback. So I'm going to fill this up. Here comes the water, and it's getting to the edge. You can see it's starting to bead up a little bit. Now, as a beginner, you might not want to go all the way, but you can see how it's around the edge there, and I would have trouble getting out of this chair without spilling the water. That would be an exercise in itself. Walking requires that you simply take slow, steady steps going forward, pausing in between. Now, as you work on this, taking little steps, you will take little steps at first, believe me. As you work on this, you will notice that you'll pay more and more attention to it. You'll get better and better at it, and that's the focus shifting effect that we're after. So when you get really good at it, what you're going to want to do, and it'll probably take a few minutes and a few steps before you can do this, then go ahead and beat it up all the way. Now, see that? See how delicate that is? Can you move and not spill any of that? You're going to have to pay attention like you rarely pay attention to anything to pull that off. That's the key idea. This is a feedback tool. This will make you walk slowly. It will teach you how to walk slowly. You'll be amazed at how difficult this is, and yet it's very possible. Some people are much better at it than others. Some learn. Some seem never to get it. I've done this with a lot of people. Everybody can improve their ability to focus with this exercise. This will make you slow down in your walking. I'm checking my notes here, make sure I've hit every point. This will train you how to move slowly as well, because you won't have any choice but to move slowly. I do invite you to try it with children if you have neighborhood children. I mean, they've never seen this exercise before, so if you give this to them, they're going to be intrigued. Boys, of course, get competitive. Girls get focused. Very often the girls are better at it than the boys, although the competitive boys will stay with it until they get it because they don't want to not be able to do it. Finally, once you've learned how to walk slowly and you've learned the value of allowing yourself to simply sink into a simple exercise like this, I want you to try something very unusual. On the last 10 feet before you reach your bed at night, I want you to go into slow walking, as if that deer that I told you about in my previous video, which you should have watched, by the way, that deer is on your bed, and you're going to walk to the bed and not wake up that deer. You'll find that those 10 steps, particularly if you'll take 3 to 5 minutes to make them, take your time. This will quiet your mind very nicely, and you'll sit on the bed and slip under the covers and go to sleep more easily than you usually do, because your mind is already prepared for sleep. You've already stopped looking at the noisiness of the day. I've had a number of people tell me this works quite well. I've used it myself and it does work well. So best of luck, and let me know how it turns out for you. I'll be very interested.